Afternoon, YouTubers. I would like to share a topic based on the everyday struggles and relationships based on for people with autism or any other form of autism on the autism spectrum disorder, be it like with me, with AS or OCD, depression and the like pretty much. I would also like to share my life experiences and encounters basically on how I go about my everyday relationships, past and present, and reality of how it goes about it. When it comes to dating boy or girl with people with autism, however, it can become overwhelming and difficult at first pretty much when in their lifestyle changes that they have to pretty much maybe change and adapt to a way for people around them sort of thing, or a change of a place or a venue, what have you, or whatever it may be. But then again, got to really remember there has been so many misunderstandings, misconceptions and more based on how us or people with autism or the most autistic like features basically on how we go about dating and certain other things in our lives, like I've shared briefly with you all, how I work in my rituals and routines, behavioural traits of an ASB of certain kinds, what it is, what to say, not to say to an XB and the like. Yet again, basically for us people on the autism spectrum disorder, when it comes down to dating, again, it's up to us by choice if we really want to take it on board. Some of us may not want to. Some of us just, as I've noticed for myself, some of us are just too independent and solely rely on themselves, however, just to be on their own. But you got to remember, however, that we don't come with, instruction manuals or rule of guidelines to follow by like anything in life, like with dating, and especially as well as relationships and whatnot, that every relationship is different when we encounter them, when we go through them, through the warts and all. But then again, gotta realize that despite these rules and expectations that is basically with us, that we need to understand that hopefully if that other person that we're with, boy or girl, will actually come to an understanding and agreement with us pretty much and meet in the middle somehow despite our differences. As I said, everyone on the spectrum is different for the way we go about it. Sometimes this is also due to the lack of understanding and being able to just communicate to us. I've noticed that in some relationships that there is due to lack of communication and understanding and misconception and judgment on how relationships should work, as I said before. Sometimes it's also be good if it's a boy or girl able to commit, however, to that relationship through it all, because I've noticed that with many relationships I've been past and present, they just want it for the fun ride and just not deal with the bad things when it comes their way, be it if they're sick, be it if it's too, for some of them, too hard for them to a point that they want, to do about it. But if you guys can remember, however, just to give you a clear, hopefully understanding and knowledge how we work, if you know about the series of the Undateables that's been on, pretty much, it's like that. I'm just hoping to shed light, basically, on you all of the differences, struggles, and more. We all do go through hardship, no matter what it is in life, sort of thing. If we're keen to, get to know you more as a person and develop a relationship with you, be it like starting point, dating, friendship, or friendship, dating, and then full-on committed relationship, then that's cool, because at the end of the day, to me, I don't know for the rest of the autism spectrum people out there, that it will basically go with it, even though many people tell me to go with the flow. Now, as I said before, I'd like to try and explain and also trying to talk to you all about my life experiences and my journey so far on the dating and relationships, pretty much from the heart. Even though many people may laugh at me and all that, that's fine. That's their forte of what they want to do about this information I'm sharing with you. Some of it I'm hoping, despite it all, hopefully, as I said, gain that understanding and knowledge and know-how, basically with me, with AS and depression and OCD and all these other mixed diagnoses that have been coming about in my life circle pretty much, and just basically hopefully just give you a clear understanding, not to give you that sign of misjudgment and that, a message of hope, and hopefully that despite it all, that, this is me, I am still a person regardless of the AS and everything that's masked on me with these diagnoses. Okay, Right now, I'm in a funny type of relationship. I don't know if it's committed. I don't know if it's just a fling. I don't know if it's whatever. But I'm just hoping, despite it all, that with this person I've been with, he knows who he is. I'm not going to name names with all these relationships I've been with, but the one I was dating way back in March, April 2013, we were going alright, I felt, sort of thing. We met at a polytech, pretty much, here in New Zealand, while we were studying as students. Yet before I met this one, however, the one I met in the present of the now, the past one of the last 6-7 years, pretty much, I was trying to finish up, basically, with that one, like in 2012, basically going through counselling and all that, just to build up my confidence and everything, because I used to be a confident woman, you know, be it whatever comes my way, I'll try and take it head on, even though it may overwhelm me to the point that it will exhaust me, and maybe other mixed and feelings, emotions with it. I met this past boyfriend, or shall we call it the ex, basically, on a dating site, pretty much. This one, I talked to him for at least maybe 6 months, 7 months, roughly, pretty much when we started dating, or meeting, or talking, whatever you want to call it, online, basically, sort of thing, in 2005, I think, roughly, 2006, whereas I was studying vet nursing and stuff at the time. He was obviously in his time doing rugby and whatever else he was doing at that time. After the 6 months, however, we decided to exchange numbers, pretty much it was charmed to start off with, to get me, basically thinking that, you know, he's a real nice gentleman, you know, basically, you know, he'll try put his way out, and basically, trying to spoil me now and again, even though sometimes, like I said, I like to be spoiled, but then again, sometimes you need to know what I like to, you know, have this maybe as well. But anyhow, like, when I first decided, after giving the number, or shall we say when we both decided, I decided basically, despite my parents were basically in Palmy at the time, he was pretty much playing rugby. I missed the opportunity there and then with him, even though I was watching far from the grandstands, basically, when he scored and touchdown. I was a bit shy, nervous and all that to start off with, even though in the way before him, I had a few other dating experiences that I don't want to disclose, but I'm hoping not to disclose too much in depth on this one. But I don't want to knock him for what he's done, even though, like, at the moment, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, I did basically had the courage to actually meet him, even though he was playing rugby that day, scored and everything else. And then at the end of the time frame, I decided, even though my parents were waiting around somewhere in town, you know, give them a text when I'm ready to be picked up, sort of thing. And then just missed that opportunity. So I thought, okay, go back online, leave them a message and stuff, exchange another day and time for us to actually meet again, which we did in the end. It took us at least 2-3 months to decide on where to meet again. So we met at Subway. We sat down, obviously under a tree, pretty much in the square here. And then, yeah, I felt so nervous, obviously, to the point that I actually stained my good new top I was wearing, obviously. And then it was kind of funny, like, we started talking and all that, and basically I thought, you know, this was going alright, you know, to the point, you know, and then I thought, you know, shall I continue it on? Because, like, I'm the kind of girl that sometimes feel in my gut, if it is with it, I'll try and go with it. If it's not, it's not. So I thought, just go with it anyway, see where it take me. Yes, I had some good times and bad times with him, even though, like, yeah, okay, he may have done wrong with me of abusing me mentally, spiritually, physically, even though, yes, okay, maybe I was partly at fault on that as well, allowing that to happen to the point where I thought, you know, this was love, even though abuse isn't love, even though now I'm now telling myself now that I shouldn't have to tolerate this anymore of what was going down, even though at the moment it's kind of hard to say. I might be going down the same path right now in the present with this one I'm with. But when I did get abused, however, I did try to tell the officials what was going on, basically. Then again, some of them, when they were taking down notes, probably many of them may be thinking in their head at that time, I was asking for it, you know, like many victims probably would have. But then, you know, part of me felt I don't trust the authorities. Bear with me on that. I don't mean to be that kind of way, but, you know, I've seen how authorities work, especially officers in general, basically, in the police station. Every rank that they go up in, obviously it is a sign of corruption and whatever else involved. As usually you do, try to adapt to the change of whatever was happening at that given moment of time, which I was. I at least did it 6 times pretty much before I met, no, it was less than that. For this past one, the one I lasted for about 7 years or 8 years of it basically, even though I crashed and burned pretty much, even though during the time of my ex of 67 years of that abuse, I thought that, as I said, was love. But it's still no excuse to this day for what he did to me. Even though many people will tell me this, you know, basically. Even though I've now witnessed, even though how my parents instilled me the values and morals and also gave me the main thing that override everything, the real love of what it is, I felt in my gut, maybe that was what he was lacking in his life of where he was growing up as a kid, pretty much to where he is now as an adult, pretty much. But that's, as I'm trying to tell myself, that still doesn't excuse his behaviour and whatnot, what he did to me, you know. Even though now that I'm starting to understand what real love is all about, despite what's going on with me at the moment, I am not going to keep on blaming him for this, of what he did in the past, because as they say, past is past, forgive him is what someone would say, forgive and forget. But sometimes I hate that quote, forgive and forget. I can forgive that person, but sometimes I can leave that emotional scars and stuff still there, tucked away, sort of thing, until it becomes raw and real again if I go through it again like I thought I was at a point with this present one, despite that. I'll share more on that. So, to me, no, this isn't real love. You know, nothing shouldn't define me or no one, pretty much. Because it's how we define it all, you know, and what we can do in the relationships if we want to work together as a team, regardless what it is, you know, to make it work. At the time before I started dating, however, when I wanted to experience it all, you know, like with all these other girls that, you know, in my circle that are married, divorced, got kids, pregnant, whatever, even though I'm not in that circle of basically on those labels of that, but I was just a free-spirited kind of girl that was bubbly, you know, full of energy, full of life, basically. I'm still trying to be today, despite of my depression and that. And at that time frame, basically, I thought, you know, to myself, you know, am I missing out on anything that real important of this way? Because after what I've witnessed on certain other people's relationship, I didn't mean to have that cluttered thought and judgment mentality on me. Is this going to happen to me? Even though some of them have shared their life experiences, even though, yes, as I said, every person's relationship and whatever else defines them who they are and what they are today. So yeah, it's just a matter of timing, I guess. But part of me, no offense, didn't feel I needed a guy at one point or another, even though part of me felt I was being forced and all that, even though curiosity got the best of me and actually started dating, despite, as I said, many of them past has been burned and stuff. But then again, part of me also felt that despite it all, I did feel strong-willed, dependent, and also stubborn to the point of no return, basically, you know. Even though at that point, though, I remembered briefly when I was in school, however, back in the days in high school, where I was living with my parents at the time, many guys were giving me a hell beating, pretty much, you know, picking on me, sort of thing. Even though I had one guy in particular that was trying to support me, regardless of what was, you know, given to me. Even though I just thought to myself, you know, I'll stand up on my own to Venice, trying to support myself. And how I went about it, obviously, got me into trouble with the principal, however, which is fine, pretty much, because many guys used to, you know, throw darts at me, pretty much threw notes at me, or started spitting gum and stuff as they do, and some guys were so immature, pretty much, trying to grab the understanding of all this, you know. Many guys pretty much do mature later than us females, I guess, but then, you know, it can vary again in us females. But before I get off on a tangent or off topic here, basically, when I was at high school, basically, starting out, I just thought, you know, I was the bully, not them, even though those guys were giving me grief, you know, even though pretty much part of me felt at that time, you know, that, oh, we'll see what she's made of, see if she's tough in there. It's like what someone said to me, it's how we take it in the end, obviously, yeah, okay, but then there are repercussions and obviously consequences for our actions when it does come and bite us in the ass. As they say, karma will come around. But then again, basically, you've got to realise though, despite this karma factor, that this person that I'm with at the moment, he will need to realise it himself, you know, what he's talking about, because, you know, he hasn't experienced what I've experienced, and obviously I'm trying not to force everything on him about my life experiences, even if he may think that at the moment. I thought at the time, though, when it came down to dating, you know, it was the norm, basically. Getting to know a guy, you know, be happy and Larry and have kids and all that. I still have that vision and goal that I would love to have kids, maybe. I don't know. Be it if it's birth outright or just adoption-wise, depending on my age, since I'm 27 now, even though, yes, they think time is against me because of, you know, not having kids and I haven't fulfilled my goals and expectations. But as I said before, everyone's life's journey is different. You know, we're not here to race to the finish line. We should enjoy life as it comes and be what it is. I also thought at the time, though, when I was socialising with some girls in my circle in school, I got the questions of, why don't you date guys? Are you gay? Are you scared? Or whatever, and the like of all these questions. And I thought to myself at the time, do I really need a boyfriend in my life, you know, just to corrupt my style and stuff? Well, I didn't make to have that mentality. I'll just put that out there. After being abused, you know, I'm thinking all guys were the same mentality. But I'm now opening up, thinking, giving guys at least one chance there, one shot to actually prove to me that they're not all the same, despite that how some people may look at me. At my point of time, where I wanted to know from what all this hype was about, pretty much, it wasn't part of my list of agenda of what to do, even though, yeah, okay, I felt like as if I was alone at that point, you know, thinking, oh, I'm going to be grey and old and having 100 cats and stuff. But then I learned basically it's okay to be single for a time, to get to know yourself and love yourself and actually build yourself up and actually, you know, once you get to know yourself and love yourself, it allows room for actually inviting someone in that you're in a relationship with, or dating, courting, whatever you want to call it, basically, to the point that hopefully that you can share that love and all that you've got to offer, pretty much, you know. Yes, I was having a hard time with girls also as well as boys. Being different, obviously, was the hard part, being with this AS and depression, OCD, even though at that time, though, however, my parents didn't realise that I maybe was struggling with certain things, despite that, yeah, okay, I'll admit, I'm the kind of girl that wants to try and do it on her own accord, on her own way and stuff. But then again, also, like, I felt that if I invited someone in, that it felt like someone might overtake my thoughts and decisions, whatever, but more on that in the take later. Again, pretty much, like, at that point, I chose to ignore these girls, pretty much, that gave me a hell of a beating, pretty much, and carry on, at that time, on my own, pretty much. Again, I wasn't on top of my list, pretty much, on my agenda, like, as it says, on my list of agendas, sometimes get a BF tick. Every relationship I had didn't last long due to different life experiences and stuff, as I said before, and issues that could have or would have been avoided or fixed or ignored. But sometimes I feel that with me as a person, I'd like to actually be able to communicate to someone if I had a problem and open up. I'm the kind of girl that I'm open, even though despite that some people may find me difficult, too hard to handle, or whatever the label mentality, which I'm getting rid of all that because I know better. I am no label. I am who I am, and this is me. I have come and chose you in my circle for a reason to lean on, and that be it if it's a guy that I want to lean on and actually, you know, start dating and whatever, and hopefully enjoy myself while I'm there, trying to learn to trust again. You know, as I said before, so many times before, trust is like a glass. Once it's broken, it's hard to fix and replace. I have learned that despite moving on so quickly, as my parents would probably admit to this, I may have moved on too quickly on certain relationships instead of giving me time to heal, basically, that I've realised that time and time again, many people will jump from relationship to relationship just to fill the void of emptiness and loneliness. That's how I see it. Don't get me wrong on this, even though, like, at that time frame, however, I basically learned that myself, that I was one of those kind of girls that jumped from one relationship to the next, never giving me that time to heal properly, trying to be the tough girl, trying to handle it out, despite what it is, even though I know some guys may test me to the point of, okay, let's see what Kieran's got, no matter what it may be, sort of thing. And yeah, okay, like, I mask up my feelings to a point that, I may feel that, I don't want to do this anymore, forget about it. I try to do all that now after what someone keeps telling me, to forget what's been said and done. But sometimes you got to learn that everyone's obviously defines relationship and that differently, as well as, dating and all that. But then again, I'm going to spring more on that piece later on, hopefully. I felt though, however, when the issues in that were arising, however, I thought I wasn't the problem all the time. I had that kind of in my mind, what can I do better? What can I make them to think? But then I thought, why should I change myself to suit them for their high expectations of me with a cute body or me with tight jeans or whatever? Sometimes in some ways it's about accepting who and what we are as a person, Despite the problems I may have faced on my own and deal with it, pretty much, I do keep some of my life, personal and private, be it, being in a relationship, even though after the years of abuse and stuff, it was really clear that many people knew I was struggling, sort of thing. It's okay to ask for help now and again. I've learned this, basically, even though I felt that if I asked for help, I felt like my, my willpower and strength and desire to do things on my own would have been taken away, and then someone would have taken charge. However, but I've learned now that despite the emotional scars that I may be still carrying to this day, that it will take a while to heal regardless, even though, like I said, learning to trust again is a run thing. Maybe at that point, regardless of the situation I was at, I was stubborn, prideful, and scared of being alone and trying to fill that emptiness and void inside of me, pretty much. But as I said before, I realised it's okay to be by myself, or anyone for that matter, basically, for the fact of that this can, to the point, basically, how to word it, as I said before, get to know you more. Where am I at today? I don't know, especially when it comes down to this relationship. If you guys are asking this and thinking this, maybe I could label this relationship status, it's complicated, I don't know, because I've learned every relationship has a status quo right now. Be it dating, in a relationship with, it's complicated, married, de facto, you name it, it's all out there. Yet, pretty much regardless of all these differences of relationships, I do struggle to this day, but I am still learning, pretty much, about these values and morals that are still instilled in me, that many people may want to knock me down for this and actually tell me that I shouldn't have this or what have you, why should I listen to that, this is how I am. I accept pretty much, I've learned to accept a guy in my life, pretty much circle, and loved him for who and what he was, despite what was going down between us. And I'm meaning for this present one that I'm with, if it's supposed to be that way. Yet, I feel that he's the one making it hard, despite that he's the one now, I feel, trying to take control of that relationship and wants these expectations. He may say he's not, but I'm seeing it in a different light, even though many people may think. I still love him for him regardless though. I've learned that sometimes you can't change people, pretty much. I've learned basically now you got to accept them for who and what they are, pretty much. To our expectations, we all have flaws and imperfections. Got to learn that. We need to work through our differences and communicate throughout our differences and that, because I feel that getting on with each other, communication and everything is really important no matter what. Be it if it's in a relationship or be it our everyday relationship with friends, and that communication to me is the key. You can't expect someone to change if you don't feel that the need to change yourself. It's a give and take, as I keep saying, pretty much, that it needs about, compromises as well as communication, as well as all these other values that I've learnt in this relationship. I've seen an experience that some are only there for the ride, be it that they want the good times, you know. I just want to do this and to hell with everyone else, you know. That's not on. I had in my mindset, or I have been told, basically, do what I want when I want. And another one is basically choose what I want to think about this relationship. This is not good because you're giving me misunderstanding and mixed messages, basically, of how you really actually are feeling, even though you're putting on that brave face thinking, you know, that this is you. It doesn't work that way, however, you know. You're in it for everything or nothing at all, so to speak. The all or nothing speech I'm giving you all. Many people still struggle of what a relationship means and more. Like I said, I'll be hoping to share this more later in the piece. Anyway, I want to say though, however, oh, boy am I. That, you know, basically that despite it all, I've learned to stand on my own 2 feet and yeah, knowing what is what, however. Right. How I see it too now is another one to come at you is basically, despite accepting each other's differences, is understanding one another as well as communication, basically. Yeah, I've lost the plot here, forgive me guys. Right, most of us are hard to understand and are wired differently, however. Many of us do tend to be alone due to what we know and have adapted to. I may be hard to understand for some people, but that's alright. You know, I'm here to try and open up to you all and actually let you in about basically how I go and do my certain things and routines every day, even though, like I said in one of my videos, that I'm all about routines and structures, even though now I'm starting now to try to become more adaptive to change, as well as also basically being flexible in someone else's circle that maybe go with the flow sort of thing. Yet I feel that some people are still lacking in the understanding and acknowledging my differences, because at the moment I'm trying to acknowledge that yes, I am different pretty much. I do have certain things to go about doing things, even though sometimes now I'm trying to go with the flow, even though now it's like, oh, everything's up there going crazy in my mindset and it hurts too much to the point of no return. This is like, sometimes I feel I have to change and adapt to pretty much people's forte of how I should act, think, speak and whatnot. Sometimes what I eat sometimes will affect me, but then again, you know, as I said before, acceptance of differences is important, however, as well as, you know, understanding each other, even though, as I said, this part here just now is sensory overload. This may cause a few problems also, however, yet I'm open-minded to anything, as I said, and I'm trying to let people in my life, regardless of what I've been through, past and present right now, you know, letting guys in, especially if I'm trying to make guys as friends, basically. As people need to see it, it's not a part of, it's a part of me and my life of my AS, even though it doesn't still define me, as I'm trying to learn now not to let that define me. Sometimes people do question me, however, like, why don't I, or shall I adapt or change to suit them, or why you know, why aren't you socializing as much? It's like, to me, it's like I said in one of those other videos, if you've been following, of basically what to say, not to say to an SB. I have adapted to a certain point of changes in my forte. I am doing the best to my ability to actually, well, not please you, but just to maybe not follow you either, like follow the leader, but just to take my stride and actually accept the differences, regardless what it may be. If you haven't seen it, pretty much of that to change or not to change, also based on my shape shifting, please do so when you have the time. I recommend it so you can gain a better understanding about me and knowledge on how I work, as well as the other one I may want to recommend you is what to not say in this, what to say not to say to an SB. Get that tongue tie out, sorry. However, I like my routines. I run with it. I go with it, and if you don't like it, sometimes it's fine. I'll meet somewhere in the middle with you all. Sometimes, however, we are lacking in effort and communication, pretty much. I feel that when it comes down to, you know, adapting to change, adapting to everything around us, pretty much. But then again, it's important to know how people work, what makes them tick, and, you know, being able to know it all. I feel that, however, we should, however, just accept each other's differences, no matter what it may be, on every level. Okay, as I said before, there's no point in changing someone if you aren't willing to change yourself, pretty much. You know, due to our high expectations, I've learned that, you know, you can't change a leopard to change their spots. It's up to them, sort of thing. Even though I've noticed that some people are just not willing to change. Obviously, I feel that either A, they just don't want to make the effort. B, it could be that they're scared of change, even though they say that they can cope with change and all that. But I'm not going to go too much into that. I've learned also, when it comes to this and more though, however, when dating and being in relationships, that I am trying to now hope that I'm not being too pushy, nagging, clingy kind of girlfriend that I used to be. Despite that, many people, you know, see me like that, and it's okay, you know, because in the long run, I've learned to try and stand on my own 2 feet, because I've also learned so many times that many guys tend to, despite my vulnerable state and being able to, you know, keep, you know, giving them chances of the chances, basically, that, you know, I was getting walked over, you know, to the point of no return, and they were obviously ruining me to the point of no return. Despite many relationships that failed due to the lack of knowledge, understanding more as to what and how people perceive it as today, and is different from many years ago, however, sort of thing, on how we go about it. Anyway, my word of advice before I go, as well as to share with you what's coming up next, is enjoy each other when you are together, however, you know, because obviously, you know, we learn together, we laugh together, you know, we breathe together, and that, and time factor, obviously, you know, we don't have that much time. Enjoy the moment we have with each other, basically, because then we may end up regretting it if something did happen and choose to ignore, avoid, and whatnot, and not sort it. And then sometimes it's just to the point of maybe someone might just, you know, go away. But then again, however, if we are willing to go to that deeper level with one another, it's not that bad. Sort of thing. Just enjoy the time we have with them before it's too late when it goes. Okay, coming up next is like extra more tips basically on dating and Aspie, as well, following on. Also, maybe in the second video part of it is the tips and advice when in a relationship with an Aspie, you know, to give you viewers basically a better understanding and knowledge and know-how, hopefully, to know what's going on. So thanks for watching. I'll see you all soon.